Subject check. You're watching Kelowna Now with me, special guest host Scott Deedles. We've done the Bitcoin show together for a while. We'll probably do something again in the new year. But he's sitting in, and he's going to help me with the news this morning. And breaking just a few minutes ago, actually about 10 minutes ago, Jagmeet Singh has put out a letter saying that he will bring down the government. This won't be a tough one for him to get out of because the letter really spells it out. And he says that he will vote to bring down the government. So is this another play by Jagmeet, or is he actually going to follow through, right? I mean, he says a lot of stuff in there, but he does say that he's called for him to resign. He should. I've also thought the next big step, Pierre Poilievre will give the CEO and a big business anything. I mean, he goes on and says a whole bunch of things, but he has said in his tweet, Justin Trudeau failed in the biggest job as prime minister. Working for the people, not the powerful. The NDP will vote to bring this government down and give Canadians a chance to vote for government who will work for them.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think there have been few politicians that have successfully done less of what they said they were going to do than Jagmeet. And I mean, like, the guy spent the last year and a half attacking a government that he himself is the one supporting and keeping in power. So,
and he did say he was tore up that confidence agreement there, but then he continued to vote for him. But this one is pretty plain that he says he's going to bring down the government.
He just has zero integrity. To me, like, Jagmeet's word is worth about a piece of toilet paper. So
there you go, right out of the mouth of Scott Deedle. Dan Elvis put out a tweet as well. This is the distraction that Justin Trudeau is doing right now, because even this hour's 22 minutes put out a really damning skit of where Justin Trudeau is at this point. Dan Elvis, you can shuffle cards on the table as many times as you want, but it's still the same deck, and the leader of the group is Justin Trudeau, and that's the problem. He is distracting most of the media, though, right now, because they've done this cabinet shuffle, and all the media is kind of like, who's going to be in the new cabinet and all this. Just like, and supposedly he was going to step down, but LeBlanc and Mark Miller talked him out of it. I just he's going to bring down this whole party. I mean, the last thing said that they might get down to 10 seats. I can't even fathom them having 10 seats.
Yeah, I think it's like nuclear winter for the Liberals, whoever. And there was maybe some talk that they were grooming Mark Carney, and now that Carney might even want to step away because the situation he would be coming into is just so toxic that
I think they waited too long.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if they would have done this a year ago, they would have had some time to build a new leader and change some things, get rid of the carbon tax, all that thing that it's, like the carbon tax. A lot of people are catching on that. Like, that energy is a basic human essential, and they're taxing it like it's a luxury. Meanwhile, the prime minister is flying around the world, living like luxuriously, lavishly off the taxpayer dollar. I mean,
Trudeau's, like, to me, he's so out of touch with reality and the regular person. It's borderline scary. And it was maybe yesterday, or the day before. He was referring to the Chrystia Freeland outing as sometimes families fight, and it's scary to think that he's still putting on a smiling face and trying to pretend. I mean, I get it; it's his job, but
even CTV in a panel, I mean, they used words like delusional, drunk.
Yeah.
And then Kevin O'Leary was on a CBC interview in a 3.5-minute rant on how he's the worst manager of Canada. You and I have talked about this many times in our Bitcoin show, and saying, like, we have one of the richest resource nations in the world, and we suppress those, and we tax everything that are basic human needs, right? So
I mean, and like the federal government came in 50% over budget this year, and failed in a number of different, they've done a really good job. The media is trying to come hard at Poilievre over housing, and the amount of money the Liberals have thrown at housing, only to see rent and housing prices kind of double. With the number of houses being built is nowhere near what needs to happen to address the reality of the problem. It's just one small example of failure across the board.
If Jagmeet is true to his word this time, if he's true to his word, it'll be the best Christmas present that Canada can get.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If he's true to his word, but he changes his mind.
Yeah.
And then we'll just move on to some other news. Why today or tomorrow is the shortest and darkest 3-year day of the year. The winter solstice is tomorrow, right? So in Kelowna, we typically only get about 8 hours, 5 minutes daylight in Kelowna. But the good news is we start moving towards the longest day of the year, which is on June 21st, right? So there you go.
Yeah.
We're actually officially into winter tomorrow too, because this is still fall.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is fall. The official day of winter starts tomorrow, and then goes up until spring.
I'm a morning person, so like as the mornings start to get longer earlier, as the spring wears on, that's my my favorite time of the year.
Yeah. I love the morning too. I get up very, very early. I probably get up in the middle of the night for most people. Public health officials warning people of an increase in norovirus, like illness that is being associated with eating raw oysters. Do you know of that?
I don't.
I don't eat any shellfish. Allergic to it too, so I don't really eat any. A lot of the I mean, people aren't gonna like this. If the shrimp was crawling on the ground, what would you call it?
Yeah, no,
What's
but
up?
I'm just going to say the same thing. To me, lobsters, all these things are insects of the ocean.
Yeah, ocean.
Yeah, so I don't eat shrimp at all.
I have an allergy, a breakout, throat constricts, and all that. That's my own built-in mechanism to say don't eat ocean bugs.
Yeah, I mean, and they actually they eat garbage. They eat the.
Well, they're the filter. Alberta's got a new plan. Daniel Smith making lots of changes in Alberta. They're going to do doctor pay model where they're going to reward physicians for bringing on patients, because lots of times the doctors aren't doing that. So she's going to. It's not that they're charging like a pay for service. They're just rewarding the doctors a little bit more for taking on patients. And
Yeah,
it's hard to get a family doctor here in British Columbia as well.
yeah. I mean, we do the opposite, right? In BC, we've made it tax disadvantageous for couples. If two doctors are married to each other, it almost makes more sense for one of them to not work. It's one example, right?
Yeah.
And so imagine it's just a healthcare system where doctors are incented to do more. It's totally foreign from what we have here.
And this is a story that's playing out in the United States. There's Elon Musk. Turns out the Washington D.C. swamp creatures are real. So Elon has pushed back because and this is where AI comes into play. They put out this bill of 1,500, like about a stack this high, and they put it out and say like 12 hours to read it and pass it. But what they have now is AI. AI read the whole document, summarized it for Elon and Vivek, right? So they can say this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. So they pointed it out, and you can really see which media. Wait, media is losing their minds, and so is some of the Democrats. And it's odd that you think media would say this is awesome, this is accountability, right? You would think most media would say this is what we want, accountability, because it just exposed what's in there.
Yeah.
And then they put out, so this is the stack of what was there, and then put out a stack like that was that high and say here's the alternative bill that only has the stuff that's needed. And of course the Democrats push back against it, and some of the Republicans as well. But the media, like a lot of the media, the same culprits, are pushing back on it and saying Elon Musk is the new president and he's doing this. And it's like, what?
Yeah, you always want to be concerned about the people who want accountability or who
don't want accountability.
Yeah,
I mean, shouldn't we have it here in Canada too? And that's the thing. Like here in Canada, we have, there's still that $254 million thing that went into this green slush fund that might be tied to Stephen Jabot. And why don't they release the documents to clear him then? Do you know what I mean? Like, and it seems like how many money scandals in Canada arrive? An app that should cost 80. You don't understand technology, right? And it's like
egregious ones,
And then the $80,000 it should have cost $65 million or something. Like how?
We Charity.
We Charity, a check that was written to the wrong company by accident, $500 million check.
I mean, I think that's a political practice. The same thing happens in Canada too, right? Where these massive bills will include things that have
pork. They call it pork. Yeah. Omnibus bills. So the cool thing about AI, though, it can sift through there, like in seconds, and lay out these are the things that don't belong.
Yeah.
Whereas because if they gave it to the congressman and they said, well, here, read this and vote for it, most of them, they probably fall asleep when they start reading. It's a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo and all that stuff, and then they're just like, oh, it's got that one thing I want, so sure. Yeah. Right. And this is this is going to expose people for who they are, because everybody should want accountability. Because here's the thing: when you earn money, the government wants you to be accountable for every dollar because they want their share, right? They want accountability from you, CRA or IRS. They want accountability from the citizen every time, and they hire. IRS agents, CRA agents, and they want accountability from you. Why shouldn't they be held accountable?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So the next one is basically talking about the CRA added 19,000 new employees in the last decade. That's 50% more.
I want to say the number is like the CRA has a near identical number of employees as the IRS for a
The
number
same
of
population.
10 times the population.
Well, they wanted to arm them in the U.S.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
And then this little tweet here, if we go back to it there, it's showing like the increases in Women and Gender Equality Canada, a 381% increase, Infrastructure Canada, 325% increase in employees. And some of them, and then the Canada Revenue Agency from 40,000 to 59,000. That's in 2015 to 2024, almost a 50% increase, right?
Yeah.
Government bloat. It's just out of control.
Completely. I mean, it's going to bankrupt the country if it already hasn't.
And then that's the thing that Vivek and Doge and Elon Musk are pushing against is this government bloat. And it seems like the Democrats and the Liberals want lots of government employees because that's almost like a sure vote for them.
Yeah.
Right? Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of the professional elites, right? So I don't know. Sad that the media would push back against accountability. That's the part that you should watch out for.
Yeah.
Them pushing back against accountability, because that's all it is.
Yeah. I mean, and I would say on its own, it might be fine if the climate for entrepreneurship was more hospitable here. But they're simultaneously kneecapping anybody who wants to try to be an employer.
Yeah.
So the private sector is completely disadvantaged as an employer competing with the federal government.
This is from the food professor. I follow him on X. He does a lot of good stuff out there. And he just listed 15 food price increases since 2023. And then what we got from the Trudeau government was a GST holiday on chips and beer.
Which is so impossible for businesses to even implement. A lot of them don't even want to do it.
It's really hard. So olive oil up 32%, oranges 26%, romaine lettuce up 21%, beef 21%. And you can go on there and you can find all these things. Ground beef 13%, eggs 12%. It's just ridiculous. And with our Canadian dollar in rough shape, which we'll get to later, it doesn't look good because we import a lot of those foods, especially in the wintertime. Right?
Yeah.
And this is the big breaking story out of the United States. Wall Street Journal did it. And they interviewed about 50 people of the administration and said that, and it confirmed that America has not had a functioning president for 4 years. And the Wall Street Journal blown the cover off the extensive government cover to hide the fact that America has not had that functioning president for 4 years. And they basically, again, you can look at the media that basically told you not to believe your own eyes and ears.
Yeah. I mean, to me, like this is about as shocking as cigarettes are addictive. Well, you know,
But I think what you can get out of it, though, is look at the media that was screaming at you. To like, if you look at Morning Joe, like he basically told his audience, F you if you believe that. He actually said that.
Oh, yeah.
And that if you believe that Biden's cognitive ability has declined. And they interviewed Kamala Harris when she was running for president, and she said, no, there's nothing. He's sharp as a tack.
I mean, this is why nobody really, like the viewership of mainstream media has just absolutely tanked, CNN especially, right? But I think like the onus is on people too, because in the U.S. they were for the first time putting up with things like in 2020, a candidate not debating. And like
they used the cover of COVID, right? They hit him in the basement, said it was COVID, and then they basically kept him in the basement.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, go on the Wall Street Journal, and you're going to find this story is like big play in the United States. Probably get little play here, but it's interesting. We're going to move on to markets though. As soon as Romel's ready to go, I think maybe having a nap over there. Gold. There you go. Gold up this morning about $28. Chopping in there. If we look at the chart there, you can see that it's chopping. That's the November election and that drop there November 5th, and that's what gave the headwinds to Bitcoin and basically a bit of a drag on gold because it definitely the U.S. dollar strengthened as soon as Donald Trump was elected. And if we look at Bitcoin, there's that $100,000 mark, and this is a year-to-date chart as well. And you can see the November 5th election as well, where it shot up there and continued to climb. And I guess just as we're moving into Christmas quiet times, there's a bit of, just like anything that runs up fast typically will kind of build back its base though.
Yeah, I mean, so Bitcoin is established. You can see the chart there, right? Bitcoin was chopping in that sort of 50 to 70,000 range for months. It looks now like it's established a new base around 100,000, which on its own is like shocking, right? Bitcoin was $1 a decade ago. It's 100,000 now, and people are getting scared when it drops under 100,000. I think there's a lot of uncertainty with the yen and potential liquidity crisis in Korea now as well, and like all of these things are bullish for Bitcoin.
Yeah, the wind is at its back for sure now. With Donald Trump very favorable with it, and also the new SEC chairman that's going to come in, favorable ETFs, and they're talking about making it a reserve currency in the United States.
Yeah,
a lot. Vancouver mayor coming out and saying he wants to make Vancouver the Bitcoin hub of Canada.
Yeah, Brazil.
If Pierre Poilievre takes government, Pierre Poilievre very favorable to Bitcoin. So, like I said, the wind is at its back right now.
Yeah. We were talking about cycles before we got in the air today, and the other cycle that has occurred throughout history is money shifting between being hard and soft. And so, like 100 years ago, the money was very closely related to gold, and over the last from 1915 to 2020, the relationship between paper money and gold drifted further and further. It's about as far away as it's been, and that can't continue forever. We're going to have to eventually have money that's tied to something of real value, or else the money itself becomes totally worthless.
Well, on the other side of that coin, here's the Canadian dollar.
Yeah, speaking of worthless,
and in that chart is a sick-looking chart. Anybody that's a technical analyst or a trader will look at that chart and say, "Yikes!" And also, most of the wins are in its face, right? We have a government that is suppressing our natural resources, because that's our big play, right? That's our big asset, because we don't win in the tech sector. Because like, why would you, if you had $1 billion to invest, why wouldn't you go to the U.S. right now? Because they're talking about favorable tax strategies, favorable deregulation, and all that. What we have is land-based advantage, right? Land-based advantage, like Kevin O'Leary says he wants to put an AI hub in northern Alberta because of the energy, the cheap energy, right? Because it can't move the energy around. There's energy in northern Alberta, cheap LNG, and that's what AI computers like to eat, is energy, right? And same as Bitcoin, right? Needs energy. So that's Canada's advantage, and right now our government is suppressing our advantage. And thinking that we could get tech, we can't compete in that.
Totally. I think like, to me, this is price discovery down. And a lot of people are, thinking about the historical performance of the Canadian dollar, thinking that we're, maybe establishing a new floor around where a floor has been in the past. I think it's headed way lower for all the reasons you mentioned. And, we may have to get used to a world where the Canadian dollar is in the 50s or even more.
No, I mean, I'm going to counter that by saying if we get a change in government and it's favorable for our resources, because we are a resource-based dollar. If we allow the use of resources, we will probably get back into the 75, 80 cent mark, I believe, if we use if we deregulate and allow our resources to be used. If we continue down this path, 60 cents is probably not far away, and it pretty quickly. And it'll be tough to pound it below 60, but if it goes below 60, and that's what happens when you break resistance levels, right? Same thing as what we saw with Bitcoin. It broke that 50, 60 chop, and then it just shoots, right? And then that's how trading works, right? So like, you see this thing, you saw it break down, and you could see it chopping there, but the trend on this chart, like, you just draw some lines on top of it, right? And it's pretty obvious where it's going, right? So
I mean, for now, there's no reason for the market to think that there's going to be a change in that sentiment. So
so the 7.23% loss in the Canadian dollar, that contributes a lot to our inflation, because we import, especially for the consumer. Great for our exporters, horrible for the person going to the grocery store. And that's all because of current government policies. That is what this says to you. This is what current government policies have done to the Canadian dollar.
I mean, and we're looking at these new U.S. tariffs in the new year. I mean, it's
that'll get worse. So that's what I'm saying. This is people steering this down is the liberal NDP government. They caused this, and there's no other way around it. Household debt to the share of GDP, Canada, top of the leaderboard, 103%.
Yeah.
Right? And the U.S. is in better shape than us, and so is France, and China, and Germany, and Spain, and Italy, and India.
I mean, this one's tied to the performance of the currency for me too, because part of the reason we're so indebted is because our money has performed poorly as a store of value, and that has financialized other assets. So we have over financialized asset sectors, and real estate's the most obvious one. We have to go into more debt to live here, and the intimately tied to that problem is the performance of our money.
In our AI segment, we're going pretty quick today because Scott's got an appointment he's got to get to. In our AI segment, by 2030, they say Google says all phones will be extinct.
Yeah.
It'll all be about the glasses. Everybody will be watching the AI, and Google's kind of like in the AI world, ChatGPT kind of the leader, right? But then all of a sudden, and I haven't used Google really for search for months now. I just use ChatGPT. But Grok moving up in there because Grok's now available to most people free. I have it. I subscribe for it. I also subscribe for ChatGPT. But Google coming out, I mean, their first iteration was all woke, right?
Yeah.
They tried to rewrite history and all kinds of things. But they've come out with a few things now because I guess they're saying, okay, we got to get serious.
Yeah. I use an AI search engine called Perplexity.
I use that too.
Yeah, and it's like the stuff that it returns is way better.
I think it's a toolbox, right? So
Yeah.
there's different things like asking ChatGPT for an image. It kind of has all these filters and won't do things for you. But when we were doing the GST break, and I said, give me an image of Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland sitting on a couch drinking beer and chips and eating chips, and it gives it to you.
Yeah.
Yes, ChatGPT is like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, the glasses are interesting. I think phones, handheld phones are going to be like CDs. We'll talk about that time when we used to use them. They're moving slowly towards it'll be phones, and then it'll be something that kind of is on your body.
Have you tried Meta Quest 3 goggles and/or the Apple Vision goggles?
I haven't though.
I have a Meta Quest 3 goggles in the other room that I'll let you try one day. And then Apple Vision and that, it is so unbelievable real. And they're bulky right now, but imagine when they get down to when they're not so bulky, right?
Yeah.
Where they can actually just put that contact lens in your eye.
Yeah.
Right? So
It's probably not that far away.
And then we do have a clip in our EV break here. If you could play that full screen, that would be great, Rommel. So this is our EV thing, and this is Tesla's year. And obviously, we like Tesla here. But I think it's one of the leading AI companies in the world.
Yeah.
In so many different ways. We're going to see if we can play this for you.
Yeah, is it next year? The Optimus is getting on target for commercial release? Or?
I don't know about Optimus, but definitely Robotaxi is supposed to be going in Texas and California.
Wow.
Yeah.
Robotaxi is going to be a really society-changing invention.
Transformational.
Yeah.
Transformational. Are you going to play that? You can take us off the screen so we can play that. You'd rather kill it there, Rommel. For anybody that wants to go watch, you can leave it playing in the background. If anybody wants to go watch that, you go on X and you find the Tesla account. Like I said, I think the leading AI company in the world, not just an automobile company, far from just an automobile company. It is a leader in so many different ways. A direct application of use, like Robotaxi will probably be the most direct application of AI that people will see that is like out there and changing the world kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like ChatGPT, it's kind of like, almost like gimmicky kind of thing, but it works really well, but it's not like autonomous driving and stuff like that.
I mean, and I don't think this is where it starts to sound really crazy, but it won't be that much farther off where it will be autonomous single-seater drones, and it'll be like the Jetsons, where people will be picked up by a flying robotaxi, and this will be by the end of the decade in my mind.
I think for sure. And then it's funny how those those movies, Jetsons and Star Trek, and that a lot of that stuff has actually come true. Like, you know, it's right now they say in technology, it's not a matter of being able to build anything. It's just being able to envision what you want to build, right?
Yeah.
Like the technology is not slowing us down right now. Right?
I mean, I think we've talked about this with our own software coding project, Blockboards. We now, our coders are using AI alongside to do the coding.
Yeah.
And the compression, like, so when AI can start to, you know, build robots on its own, we're entering into this uncharted time of technology.
And you asked about when's Optimus due. The robo-taxi is a robot. It just has wheels.
Yeah.
Right? It's just not a biped. Optimus is due at some point as well, but that'll really change the world if all of a sudden you have an Optimus at home that's cooking dinner and, you know, like taking the dog for a walk and all that other kind of stuff.
I mean, I saw the, well, what I've been told is all labor should be done by humanoid robots, but by 2029 for $10 an hour.
Yeah. Game changer. We have the good news segment. Some good news here. The Telemark Nordic Club ready to welcome the public for the season. So snow up in the mountains. Tons of snow up in the mountains, right? And Big White as well. More snow if anybody's going up there for that Christmas holidays. And we also do the Big White ski report every Thursday now with Chloe from Big White. And that's just the stories on Kelowna Now. And you can go watch that. Chloe calls in, zooms in, or not zooms in, but uses our eCam link, comes in. We talk about what's going up in the mountain. Lots of good stuff happening on the mountain if you live here in the central Okanagan. We have a world-class ski resort in our backyard. Do you ski at all?
I do. I haven't been out yet this year, but hope to get up over the holidays.
They got lots of pow, pow, pow.
Yeah. Do you ski?
I did a lot when I was younger. Every now and then now, you know, but I never snowboarded. Don't want to take that up. Too old to take that up. Break your tailbone.
Oh, yeah.
But skiing, I love skiing. So, and then we, like I said, Sun Peaks and Big White, like right here, right?
Yeah.
We are pretty lucky, and then we also have Apex and
Oh,
Silver
yeah.
Star.
Red Mountain, Broad.
Yeah, Red Mountain. Yeah, like all those hills. And I skied them all when I was younger. And you know, so fortunate to have all that stuff like right here in our backyard. Okay, so that is our report for today, and our last report, likely into the new year, because we're going to take next week off the Christmas thing, and we may do a report in there somewhere, but I don't think so. But we wish you a Merry Christmas and season's greetings, and there you go. And then stay safe, stay warm, and thank you for watching Kelowna Now.
We don't just report the news, we live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. Kelowna Now, local, independent. News you can trust.